Hi, I'm Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Key, and we're going to be talking about blockchain. Not the technicalities of blockchain, but the business benefits of blockchain, how it can actually impact you and how it should be good for your business. Before we get into it, the first question I always ask, Key, is where can people find you?
Okay, perfect. So the best place is my LinkedIn. You can connect me there. But you can also check out on my website, Key Difference Media, our incubator, and Forward Protocol, our infrastructure. So I'm accessible through all these channels.
Excellent. So you've been doing blockchain for several years now, haven't you?
Yeah,
So,
I started my journey back in 2013. So yes.
wow. So it was probably not even called blockchain then. It's probably something else.
So yes, back in those days, we just used to refer to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin's network. So only when more and more blockchains came into existence, there was even a need to refer to it as blockchain there. So yeah, it's a beautiful and different time back then when the focus was completely obsessed on using Bitcoin for transactions and the network and storing and all of that.
So if I'm a business owner, why would I get involved in blockchain? It all kind of seems so sort of like the future and that, but not today.
Okay, so I think it's important to understand the philosophy that is behind blockchain before even answering that. Because blockchain is storing data. It's as good as any other database. But what makes blockchain special? It is the ability to adjust with the upcoming world, because we are looking at a world where everything is starting to get decentralized. People are looking for transparency. Individuals are looking at being able to contribute to the growth of a company, of an economy, of a business, without being actually part of it. So there's a change in the culture, and blockchain perfectly fits there. Blockchain stands for transparency because everything is happening in an open way, but at the same time it protects and gives people anonymity if that's what they choose to have. And that's what we have with our social media, right? A lot of people, we just put up funny names, we don't even show our profile pictures,
Mm.
whereas on the other hand we do the opposite of it. So it's about people's individual choices that is important, and that's the perception, that's the narrative that the world is moving in. And blockchain fits right in the middle of it, just at a bigger scale, a scale in which businesses can also do that. Not just the social profiles of an individual, but a business can take on that decentralized model, can take some roles in the company and give it to people out there who could just do those micro jobs, contribute to the business in their own ways and earn from there. So it is all about where the future is heading and how this technology contributes to it that makes it special. I mean, we can look at all the different benefits and the cost savings and the opportunities there. I don't want to get into the detail, but it is really the philosophy more than the technology that is important for us to look at.
So do you think that from a blockchain perspective, 10 or 15 years ago, we were talking about websites and probably trying to convince people to have a website. And everyone were going, no, websites will never catch on. And now do you think we're in that same position with blockchain where we're saying we need to be doing this and everyone's going, no, why would I do that?
I think very true, because website is a part of a process. I think what we should be looking at from a business side is a business model, not the activity or the tasks. So let's forget about websites. Let's talk about Airbnb. Let's talk about Uber. Those are better examples here because the websites enabled a newer form of business model,
Yeah.
and blockchain is just like the website. It's a technology, but what it's really enabling is a new way of thinking, a new way for us to efficiently do something out there. So when Uber came, when Airbnb came, we didn't have to wait somewhere, hail a taxi. We didn't have to go to a particular place, to just a hotel or one of those limited opportunities. Right now, we could let our house be used by someone when we are not there, or come up with our own business. We don't have to be a billionaire or millionaire to run our hotel to profit from that. We could just have our own house rented out as an Airbnb. It is crowdsourcing certain things. It was crowdsourcing the cars or the houses and connecting it with people who individually wanted something special. They were looking at an experience. Airbnb is more about experience than about staying. Because if it's a matter of just staying, you rather stay in some hotels, which could be cheaper. But then you look at something more. It's about what that host is going to help you with, the person that you could talk to, the people that you could meet. So there was a change, there's a shift in the thought process that enabled these businesses to come out. And that's the same thing with blockchain. Imagine being able to have a lot many parts of your business completely carried over by individuals, them contributing to it in small parts without having to be limited by it. They don't even have to know the whole thing. They could still do parts of your work without understanding
Can
the
you
whole
can you
picture.
give
The
us an
data.
example of that then?
Okay. Let me go on to some other examples which are simpler. One thing that strikes very, very hard right now is things like the asset tokenization. Uh,
That's it. Yep.
Assets tokenization, yes.
Yep.
Imagine the possibility of us being able to buy into assets, gold, silver, oil, that is very well known, but also water, wood, yarn, silica, other metals, and forest lands, agricultural lands, real estate properties, commodities, anything and everything that you could sell that has a value, that is something that people would want to buy and hold. All of that are open right now. And we did not have this possibility currently. Yes, we have ETF, we have different non-asset backed asset representations in the market, which is not something that's accessible to everyone. There are geographical limitations. There are limitations around what it truly represents. It is still a trust of the government. It's still trust of an entity, because it's only mirroring the value. But with asset tokenization, the future is bright. Someone can go out there and say, "This is the value. My net worth is not $10 million. My net worth is 5 kgs of gold, 10 kgs of silver, a ton of yarn, and 5 gallons of water." Those possibilities can only exist as we move to the blockchain. And because it removes the limitations of geography, limitations of the existing regulatory tool sets, which, or like, let's say, if you want to own an asset in the US, you need to have a US broker account and all of that. Right now, those intermediaries are moving. You can still have a regulated asset, but then as a token, it can move around the world, not being limited by the existing structures. So it almost breaks up all the limitations and gives a freedom, even within the new regulatory frameworks, to have something that is cross border, that's cheap to move, that's faster, efficient, all of that, that can remain in your mobile. You don't need to have anything more. Everything sits right in your hands. You can carry anywhere and function from anywhere.
So I understand that things are changing around exam uh, certificates. So, for example, I have a whole bunch of exam certificates in a folder down on the floor down here, which I never look at. But if I went for a job, someone would say, "Well, can you prove that?" I understand nowadays what we can do is actually load those up into the blockchain, so they could actually be verified by the university to say yes, he's got it, and for someone to look in and see it as well.
NFTs, I believe, have a great role to play when it comes to things like birth certificates, passports, anything validation related, even things as simple as proof of attendance. When you attend an event, receiving something that says you actually attended that event. It
Yes.
can be used from the smaller scale like that to as big as passports. And the best part is how easily it is verifiable. A funny example is, there is an entire department in governments dedicated to validating certificates. Their job is, when you go out for a job in another country, you take your certificates to this department and they say, yes, this is the true one. They put a seal on it. And then you take that, because the other country cannot trust your university certificate unless the government authorizes it. You don't need all of that. If it's coming from the particular address of the university, which is publicly listed by the university, if that NFT is coming from there, that is true. You don't
Yep.
need a government department saying it. You don't need to you or anyone to say it. It's just out there to verify. It reduces a lot of redundancy. It reduces a lot of cost and makes the process so simple. And that's the beauty of it. And of course, right now people are selling monkey pictures and a lot of speculative things in there, which is very sad. I mean, okay, great, people can have fun, sure, but I really, really like to see more and more business use cases of business journeys and experiences. Again, I like to go back to the Airbnb example, that it's an experience. So now when I go and buy something like any product, let's say I buy my shirt, I like to see where the materials, the yarn came from. Which factory was it made? I like to know about the designer. Maybe it was not mission manufactured. Maybe someone hand stitched it. I want to see them do it. I want to see. I want to feel. I want to know that entire experience. When I scan a QR code, I would know the journey that it contains, and that journey is an experience, and that is where metaverse and all of that comes in. It is the next level of experience. It's the next level of brand journeys, and brands are stepping up, taking the next level of aiding the experiences of people who are buying into things.
I think it's beautiful because we already have a lot of that serialization at the moment, and there's lots of talk about um, things that are in the supply chain that shouldn't be, like whether are my sneakers or trainers made by child labor or something like that. By using blockchain in the metaverse, you could actually see, in effect, them being made
True.
by looking at the factory and stuff like that. So it would eliminate a lot of that guesswork. And I think from a customer point of view, that experience would be, and for a brand to offer that, it would be just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of premium products where you can go to the factory checkout, like amazing cars in Germany. They allow you to go there, build
Yep.
it. I recently happened to buy a helicopter in the UK, and they want me there last 2 to 3 weeks to stay there and complete the build with them. It's an experience that I'm getting as part of that purchase package. But now, what if that can, instead of being on a half a million, $1 million products, what if that can be available for you in a $50 product? Virtually. And
Yes.
that's what blockchain is bringing to your doorstep, to your device, to your phone, to your home.
Do you have any other use case examples for either individuals or companies or non-for-profits?
Okay, sure. So, nonprofits, for example, you always have this concern around where is my money going? You donate something somewhere,
Very
and
true.
then later you find out 40% of that money is administrative cost,
Yep.
or something crazy happening that you don't know where that money is going towards what. But we were working on this case on an education model, decentralized education, where if a donor is donating money, the donor can actually see the money going to a particular student, a particular person
Wow.
whose journey, the history is also visible. Okay, this student from this village, he has been learning all these free courses, struggling and learning, and here's his marks, here's his performance. And now this money goes here to sponsor this child, this individual. And this donor can track what is happening with the progress. Is that person learning, or did that person drop out? Did they continue?
Mm.
What do they actually need? Because now suddenly it's no more, okay, it's a CSR. I'm putting in $100 a month there, to here's a person, a real person, and
Mm.
I'm able to see what's going on in that person's life and journey. Even something as simple as donation becomes an experience, and it becomes accountability. Now someone cannot just take away the money into administrative things. It's all there. And if something is taken off for something else, it has to be clearly shown on the blockchain. Accounting is automated, and that removes a lot of fraud, and it becomes more and more easier to raise money towards anything. And there is an ability to connect those dots, because experience is one part, sure, and a lot of people may not do that. But then the amount of things that goes under the hood, amount of things that disappears, nobody gets to see the dark side of businesses and enterprises and nonprofits. That is a pain point. And if that can be fixed, a lot more people will come forth to
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Andrew is a regular watcher of ours, and he says this would be beneficial to any manufacturing company to track products through the whole of the supply chain, and it's true, isn't it?
That's very true, because moving forward, I don't think I would trust any company who is not sharing that journey. They don't have to share the whole journey, but it's just like this: you go to you go anywhere, any shop, you find a QR code to scan, a barcode to know more. It is part of the process. 10 years back, 15 years back, when I consulted companies and I told them about QR code, they were like, why would anyone even do that? It's an extra cost, it's extra effort, it's too
I
much.
know.
It's a process. You get there. Now, every e-commerce in the future would go ahead and integrate blockchain NFTs along with their product. Like Shopify already has an integration for that. and WordPress is upcoming with an integration on that. So the e-commerce platforms with an attached NFT for various purposes, they can both work separately, but it also shows who the owner was and what the journey was. So everything is getting connected. We call this as a physical products, physical and digital. That connected journey is going to be the future moving forward.
I think it's amazing that the changes, and especially all you need is one organization like an Apple or a Samsung to basically lead the way and say, this is, we're using blockchain and this is the way that it's changing the customer experience. And then everybody has to fall in line because it's such a massive competitive advantage.
We already do have a lot of these big brands working on these things. But what I really believe is looking at the world back in every trend, every change, I see that it is not really the big companies leading the change. It is the new innovators creating an alternate solution which is better than the existing products that people move, navigate. And it's going to take some pain for these companies to lose customers, lose some revenue, to actually want to change their business
Yes,
model.
I can imagine.
Because it's almost like I was in this conversation, and the conclusion was that using blockchain, there are two ways you could do it. One, you just use that as part of your business process, something just as good as a traditional manufacturing unit having a website that says where they are located and a contact form. It's like as a sore thumb. It's like putting it hard and forcefully to it. But then the real change is going to happen with businesses that are built ground up to support it. A complete new business model meant specifically for the benefits of blockchain. And that is going to be important because they revolutionize, they come with new benefits, new advantages, new ways of monetizing something, new ways of cost cutting on other parts, almost rechanging the value chain. So now their value and pitch is going to be quite different from what you had in the past. Just imagine how the journey went from yellow pages, books, and newspapers to online publications
Yeah.
and Google, right? So you don't even have directories anymore online. You don't have yellow page alternatives because you have Google. And can you even imagine the journey from yellow pages to some product which is helping you to search, do a million more things, which also happens to have the discovery of business information? It is not a direct match. It's not like a hotel and Airbnb kind of a match. It's completely different in how the final product ends up being. There were directories online. There were directories which copied yellow pages, but they did not survive long because over time there were businesses that were made specifically for this digital world, which were completely different. You cannot mirror. It changes the business models.
And as you, is a great example. I mean, I remember Yellow Pages was if you wanted to buy something, you went to Yellow Pages and looked it up. You don't do that anymore. I mean, it's Yellow Pages is, we could be talking about something from the 1800s or something like that. I mean, it's just so far in the past.
Well, I mean, that's where we are heading right now. Just imagine how much money was modified with the power of digital. Right now, with Apple Pay and Samsung Pay, we just scan and pay. I never carry cash with me. I never carried cash in all my business life of 16 years. Never. I never carried card with me after this scan and pay came up. So all we go with is with our phone. Money has changed so much with how it is in the banks everywhere. We just see that on the screen and we work with it. Now with power of blockchain, power of cryptocurrencies, with the central bank backed digital currencies, and all that changes that's coming up, money is going to take a whole new direction, a whole new step up. It's almost moving away from value of gold, barter value of gold, to bank based systems. Right now, what digital based currencies, which are still fiat represented digitally in banks, to finally having this cryptocurrencies, which is a to me it is an complete a shift in the mindset. Because when I look at it, when I look at asset backed tokens, I don't see a reason why I would hold a government issued promise. I would rather hold gold with me and spend gold. I would rather hold commodities that we see value in, like platinum, and I would probably use that to pay, because then at least I know it is based on something that's real.
Yeah.
Somewhere there is real value sitting there, exactly going back to what the world was 50, 70 years ago, when gold backed every dollar in existence. And these are radical shift in the mindset, which is where the change lies.
Andrew makes a great point. I know Andrew works in the oil and gas industry, and he said this would be revolutionary with access to the design spec, material certification, chemical data sheets instantly. Absolutely, it would be groundbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, now if I look back 10 years of my journey in blockchain, if I spoke about these things 5 years back, 4 years back, people could not understand difference between Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies. Right now, when I go somewhere to speak, I have people from industries, traditional people, they come to me and they teach me how blockchain is different from crypto and why they like blockchain. They might not like cryptocurrencies, they might not like speculation, but they actually are pro blockchain. They see
Yeah.
the benefit very clearly, and it has never happened in those last many years.
Mm,
And right now, that education has gone so deep,
mm,
and everybody starts to see that reality. And if traditional people can see the difference and adopt it, it's right time for everyone to start reflecting and thinking, what can this do to my business?
yeah.
What can this do to bring about a change in the process I'm doing? How can this improve or enhance something I'm doing there? Just some thoughts to put out there. uh, Before COVID, we were all working from our offices. We need to go to the office every day. After COVID, during COVID, a lot of people lost jobs and they found freelancing opportunities. Yes, a lot of people work from home. That's another journey. But many jobs were converted to contracts and freelancers. And moving forward, I don't even see freelancers as a model. I see a micro job as a model. A guy wakes up in the morning. He doesn't need to know what company and what job. He's a micro job worker. It's like the universal basic income. He's just going to go around, walk around. He's traveling using the car. He's just going to leave way for the other cars to go before him. That's a blockchain based car negotiations to pave way for the traffic. Guys who are in urgency, they pave way for others who are not in urgent. There's a transaction happening
Yeah.
there. And on the journey, he finds a ship on the seaside. He scans with his mobile the ship that's connected to a ship tracking system. He earns some money for that. He earns money for driving. He drops people, drops packages on his journey. It's almost like carpooling, but he's dropping packages as he goes. People are earning money in so many different ways. A single guy in his commute, he kind of makes money in three different ways. And probably he's also contributing some data, maybe geographical data. He's contributing weather data, and some other company pays him for that. There are so many micro jobs that you would do unconsciously. But the difference is, right now, you still do a lot of jobs for Google, for Facebook. You don't get paid for it. You do it for Instagram. You don't get paid for it. But moving forward, you would be paid because companies, Web3 companies, would share that revenue with you, would
Mm.
share and make that data transparency, the process of what's happening with the data, public. Because you have technology in blockchain like ZK, zero knowledge proof, where the data is shared, the data is sold with the zero knowledge of where it's coming from, who it's coming from. Those concepts are exactly solving the privacy issues that we have and bring about the business use cases. Because without sharing data, a lot of things cannot happen. We are in information age. Data should be shared. But then the privacy can be protected if it is happening on blockchain transparently.
Key, thank you so much for coming on and inspiring us about blockchain. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Um, and also talking about things in a practical way, from a business, an individual, a non-for-profit, and a look into the future as well in terms of how we could use blockchain. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. Remind people where they can get hold of you.
Okay, you can search for me, Karnika Yashwant, in Google. You'll get my Twitter, my Instagram, my LinkedIn. I'm accessible in all social networks. You can reach out to me there. But check out Forward Protocol and keydifferencemedia.com. So these two brands are taking the journey of blockchain accessible to Web2 traditional businesses as they come to the Web3 world. That's where I spend all my life. This blockchain is where I literally lived a decade of my business life, and I would do anything to bring more and more businesses and people to it. So happy to help in any way I can.
Fantastic. And good luck with the helicopter. Thanks